Picture this. You're ruling the African savanna. You are absolutely feared by every single animal. You're surrounded by loyal lionesses, and you are protected by this powerful, tightly knit family. Sounds pretty great, right? Now, imagine losing absolutely everything in a single day. One moment you're the king, and the next, boom, you're entirely alone. No food, no protection, no family. In this explainer, we're unpacking the incredibly fascinating and frankly ruthless biological reality of what happens when a male lion loses his pride. Because as you'll see, for many of these lions, this isn't just the end of a reign, it's the beginning of a brutal, terrifying fight for survival.
Okay, let's dive into this, because the contrast here is just staggering. On one hand, we have this totally romanticized idea of the secure king, right? You've got protection, a family, and a super reliable food source. But on the other hand, you have the reality of the homeless wanderer facing starvation, total isolation, and constant danger. So what really happens after an overthrow? Do they just wander off and starve to death? Can they ever actually become king again? And is this state of exile somehow even more dangerous than ruling in the first place? Well, to answer those questions, we really need to understand the baseline status quo.
Section 1. Life inside the pride.
You know, unlike a lot of big cats, lions are highly social animals. A typical pride is usually made up of a group of related lionesses, all their cubs, and anywhere from 1 to 4 adult males. And there is a very strict division of labor going on here. The lionesses, they're doing the heavy lifting when it comes to hunting, and they work together to defend their home turf. The males, though, have a totally different but absolutely crucial job. They're the bouncers. They patrol the borders, they fight off any invading males, and they basically protect the entire pride from some incredibly dangerous rivals.
So the biological trade-off here is super fascinating. In exchange for this high-risk protection duty, the males get to enjoy the perks of the crown. They get first dibs on food, and they get the exclusive opportunity to father cubs. But, and this is a massive but, you have to note that word temporary. This setup never lasts forever. Every single king, no matter how big or powerful, is eventually going to face a challenge.
Section 2. The King's Violent Fall.
An overthrow doesn't usually happen out of nowhere. It really builds step by step. First off, time just catches up with them. As male lions age, physical decline is totally inevitable. Those powerful muscles start to fade, their teeth literally wear down, and crucially, their reaction time drops. Second, there are always young nomadic males out there, basically waiting in the wings, watching for exactly these signs of weakness. Third comes the challenge. When they see an opening, these nomads launch a violent attack. And guys, these are some of the fiercest, bloodiest fights in the entire animal kingdom. We're talking massive paws striking with bone-crushing force, teeth tearing into flesh, causing deep, severe wounds. Finally, if the defending male loses that battle, he's left with an impossible choice: fight to the death or run into exile.
As you might guess, most choose exile. But the sheer shock of that transition is just staggering. Literally within minutes, the king who ruled the entire landscape becomes a homeless wanderer. In the blink of an eye, everything he knew is gone. He is completely stripped of his territory, his allies, and his protection.
Section 3. The Brutal Reality of Exile.
Let's just slow down for a second and really think about what a fallen king is facing out here on his own. Without a pride backing him up, he loses his entire hunting support system. Suddenly, every single meal is a giant question mark. Think about the catalog of daily threats. Trying to take down large prey like a buffalo or a zebra, that is insanely dangerous for a solitary hunter. Out here, just one minor mistake or a small injury usually means certain death. On top of that, disease, dehydration, and starvation become his constant daily companions.
It's honestly wild to wrap your head around, but this lion basically devolves from an apex predator into a scavenger. Instead of eating first from a fresh kill brought down by his pride, he's now forced to compete with crocodiles, leopards, and even vultures just for some measly scraps to stay alive. A lot of these surviving males spend their days just searching for abandoned carcasses or desperately stealing food whenever they possibly can. And hey, food isn't even the only problem. Nomadic lions are constantly having to move through unfamiliar territories, and guess what? Every single territory already belongs to another pride. If resident males catch an intruder on their turf, they attack immediately. The odds are wildly unfair. You've got one exhausted older lion suddenly facing off against 2, maybe 3 younger resident males all at once. Even if he somehow manages to escape with his life, he's risking broken bones, badly infected wounds, or permanent injuries.
And then you've got the hyenas. Now, a healthy, prime male lion,
He can intimidate an entire clan of hyenas without breaking a sweat. But a weak, injured, exhausted lone lion, he becomes a massive target. Huge groups of hyenas will actively gang up on these guys, chasing them away from their meager little food sources or even directly attacking them when they're simply too exhausted to fight back. Life outside the pride is just a relentless, exhausting, daily battle.
Section 4. Reclaiming the throne.
Now you might be thinking this is entirely hopeless, but the story doesn't always end in defeat. Believe it or not, some of these defeated lions actually make a comeback. If an exiled male is still relatively young and in decent shape, he might tap into this incredible biological imperative, forming a coalition. By joining forces with another nomadic male, they combine their strength, and together, they are vastly more formidable than one lion on his own. This strategic partnership allows them to survive, slowly build up their strength over months or even years, and eventually challenge another pride.
If they win that challenge, they become the new rulers. But here is where things get really dark. This victory comes with an incredibly harsh evolutionary consequence. To bring the lionesses back into breeding condition, the new males will almost always kill the existing cubs in the pride. Now, as cruel and shocking as that appears to us, it's a strictly natural reproductive strategy that's been shaped over thousands and thousands of years. Soon after, the lionesses produce a brand new generation of cubs, fathered by these new kings, and the whole cycle of the savanna just starts all over again.
Section 5. The final chapter.
But what about the guys who just can't bounce back? Tragically, older lions simply become way too weak to fight or to form these new coalitions. Researchers have actually observed these aging exiles just disappearing into remote, isolated areas to spend their final days entirely alone. They slowly starve, those magnificent manes totally fade away, and they eventually succumb to infected wounds. Their once powerful bodies are literally reduced to mere shadows of their former selves. It is a really heartbreaking reality. But it just proves that out in the wild, nature shows absolutely zero mercy. Even the greatest kings cannot escape time.
So, what does this all mean for us? Well, it brings us to a really fascinating core takeaway. The life of a lion might look incredibly majestic from a distance, but behind every roar lies this constant, merciless competition. Winning a pride is unbelievably difficult. Keeping it is even harder. And losing it, that means losing absolutely everything. In the natural world, power is never, ever permanent. Every single king eventually faces a stronger challenger.
Some of them manage to fight back and reclaim their throne, sure, while others just vanish into history, remembered only by the scars they leave behind. It is such a captivating look into the hidden, everyday struggles of wildlife. I want to leave you with a final thought to ponder today. Given the totally brutal biological trade-off we've just explored, would you rather rule as a powerful king for just a few short years, or live your entire life in total safety? Let that sink in, and we'll see you in the next explainer.